Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Futon Talks. I am your host, Christopher Midling, joined as always by my little French man with his backwards hat, Joshua Castro.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me on your show. I can't speak.
Of course.
Sacre bleu,
It's fine.
as it were.
It's just what we do on Futon Talks is we talk.
Yeah, about futons. And maybe a couple other things.
Could you imagine?
That is what we do,
Could you
right?
imagine if we...
That's what I thought we did.
Could you imagine if we actually started a podcast to talk about futons?
Can you imagine that people actually think we actually talk about futons when we tell them our show is called Futon Talks?
I don't get it.
Sorry to all you guys who did think that, but you were fools and you were bamboozled, as it were. No futons
Told
here.
you again.
We don't even have a futon.
Not anymore.
We have a small couch. No futon.
Yeah.
You have a small couch. You don't even have a futon anymore either. The futon they're behind us.
I have 2 futons and a small couch.
Wow. Never mind. You are the futon king. You have multiple.
That's right. That's what they call me around here.
That's what my wife calls me.
How many episodes do you think we could have gone if we were just talking about futons?
1. Here's the thing.
Only 1?
Do we include like talking about the futons that have been in our lives?
Yeah, just futons in general.
Futons
just
in
talking
general.
about futons.
At least 4 episodes.
I was going to give us at least 7.
7. You have a lot to say about
I think
futons,
you can
my
get
friend.
really into the minutia of futons and futon lore.
Wow.
The
Fabric.
history of futons.
Leather futons,
fabric.
Faux leather.
Oh, too much.
I know, too much. That was 3 topics right there. We might just switch.
Yeah, we might.
What is this podcast about? We're talking about futons. We're actually doing what we're not supposed to do. We are fools.
We are futon fools talking about Dunkirk.
That's right. Talking about
We're so sorry.
Yeah, we apologize. I also apologize before we get into the show for my awful lighting situation. It looks like I'm in a room with 0 light and a lamp on my face, but this is what it looks like without the lamp.
Well, hello.
Oh, it actually doesn't look too bad.
Doesn't look terrible.
Does this look better?
No,
1 second.
I don't think so.
I feel like it looks a little better.
This is a behind-the-scenes look for you guys.
You guys are getting a preview of what it would be like to be subscribed to our Patreon.
Yeah. Imagine doing this before every episode.
Hey, this looks good.
Hey, you look really nice.
We were stupid. I had this fat lamp shining into my eyes. I was going blind. Like, it hurt so bad. Yes. Anyways, excuse me. I'm glad.
Sorry.
I'm glad I gave you guys impromptu behind the scenes information there. It saved my life.
Yeah.
And my
It
sight.
was very secret. Very secretive.
And speaking of sight and blindness play kind of a big
Hello.
role as metaphors in today's episode.
Yeah.
Would you like to introduce our amazing topic, Chris?
I'll do it again.
Nolan.
That is my name.
That is your name. It was better the first time. The time that no
It
one
was
saw
better
it.
the first time. Oh my gosh, I'm so upset.
We'll have outtakes
but
of
we were
Chris
talking-
pretending to be Christopher Nolan, we promise.
Yes. Today's topic is Christopher Nolan's film Dunkirk
Yes.
that came out in 2017. Hello.
Hello. The year some
Pretty
of you were
crazy.
born. Very exciting.
Don't say that. I don't think anyone of that age is listening to us.
What about Ronan? When was Ronan born? 2005, 2015? Was he like 6 or 7?
I don't want to be a bad uncle.
I'm putting you on
Don't
blast.
call me out.
Dusty's gonna hear this.
No.
I feel like he was born before I left on my mission, so probably 2015.
That's crazy.
He's too old to look like that much of a toddler. Sorry, Dusty.
I'm gonna say
His head's
he
so
was
big.
born in 2016.
2016. Right before
I'll say that.
Dunkirk. He was just old enough
Right
to watch it
before
in
Dunkirk.
theaters.
Yes.
If his parents are anything like yours, then yes. But anyway.
But yes, let's get serious.
Very
serious.
Serious as Kenneth Branagh. Serious as Fiona
I can't believe
Whitestone.
he's in this movie.
I know. How did we didn't know that, right?
No. Okay.
He works with the same actors
Let's
every
get
time.
to the meat and potatoes. Let's get down to business.
Let's get the gravy.
This is Dunkirk. This is Christopher Nolan's, I think, first time going at nonfiction for a film.
Yeah. I think
nothing else is
right.
based on anything really. This is his first movie where it's not sci-fi based. It's not superhero with Batman. It's
not supernatural at all. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is our second episode in our long series, I guess, or long episode series.
Our long anticipated series as well. You guys have been clamoring for it.
Yes. You guys have been begging, kissing my feet, waiting for this.
I keep waking up at night, this fan's lips on my toe knuckles. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. I can't stand it anymore. Okay, I'll do it. Anyways.
But here we are.
For you.
Just for you guys, we're talking about Dunkirk.
That's right.
And I guess we'll start out how we always do, or at least how we always try to, with 3 words to describe this movie. Now, Josh, do you have 3 words for me? Or for our audience who's been just clamoring for this?
I do.
Sweating at the thought of this episode?
I do. And I want to tell you guys, I sweat at the thought of this movie. Just in general. Like it has been a roller coaster how I feel about this movie. So I'm glad to start and give you my 3 words. So we got haunting, horrific, and jumbled.
Jumbled. I like
jumbled. But I will save any explanation for after you give me your words.
Okay. And just for clarification, was this your first time watching this movie?
Yes. So I watched it once last night, and then I watched it again this morning after I watched a bunch of reviews and a short documentary on the event.
Is this your favorite movie or something?
No. Spoiler alert. But
okay.
I like this movie though. But stop. You're jumping the gun, Chris.
I'm sorry. So I saw this movie on my birthday of that year when it came out.
Oh,
so
July 27th. I knew it. I do know your birthday. I learned it.
Some of you do. Now you all do. But I saw it with my dad in IMAX, I think. And I wasn't super hot on it then.
Okay.
Just to be frank with everyone.
I'm glad you're not being Phil.
Wasn't super hot.
Sorry. Anyways.
But my 3 words now are, it's a sentence. Demands your attention.
I thought your words were, it's a sentence. Sorry.
Very good.
Very good. Demands your attention. Those are 3 great words for this movie.
Thank you. That is how I would describe this movie. So
I like that.
Yeah. And I think for how we should talk about this movie is we got 3 categories. We got the mole, which is the land, and then we got the sea and the air. And I think we should go in that order because that's also how it chronologically happens.
Yes.
Technically. Because the movie, as you were saying, is jumbled. And it does jump times here and there. This could be the precursor to Tenet, for all I know.
Honestly. This dude is just obsessed with time. Do we want to go over our general positives, our general negatives first? And then go into the nitty gritty? Or do you want to do that last?
Sure.
I'm happy with either.
No, yeah, let's yeah, sure.
Can I start off with my negatives just to so we can better understand the movie?
Yeah, get it out in the open.
I'm going to vomit it everywhere. So, precursor. Watched this movie last night. I did not like this movie very much last night. I thought it was like... There are a couple problems with it. And I still think they're problems, but once you watch it a second time, everything makes way more sense. And it's a lot better on the second watch, I think. I will say a few things that I really admire. I love Christopher Nolan's attachment and like commitment to authenticity.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible, the lengths they went to. The Spitfire planes, the British planes, real Spitfire planes. Ridiculous. The Henkel planes, those are Spanish planes from the exact same era from a similar manufacturer. Almost the same plane. The destroyer they use that sinks is not a British destroyer, but it's a French destroyer from the same year. The only reason they didn't get a British one is because none of them work anymore. So, like, he's going to crazy lengths. They're in Dunkirk, right? They're on the same beach. They're using the mole that was used, like, for the actual evacuation. Incredible lengths, right? This was, like, I think this is the movie with the most boats involved in a movie ever, right? I mean, we watched Jaws and they were like, oh, we filmed a scene in the water and it was hard, right? These guys did literally the entire movie with like hundreds of boats, right? So just as an achievement in practical effects and like practical filmmaking, momentous, incredible, out of this world. But I think that he goes too far because my first time watching this movie, all I see are 50 white dudes with black hair soaking wet. I have no idea who any of them are. No distinction between which one is which. Like, the boats all look the same. I don't know which boat is which. I don't know who's where. The pilots all look exactly the same because they have a mask on. No idea which one is which. You haven't played
enough Call of Duty, it seems.
I have not. It's just like, literally, everything looks the same. Everything. So it was almost impossible to tell what was happening. And if you don't like realize what they're doing with time and like read it and just intuitively understand, oh, they're going to be jumping back and forth, it's just baffling, like super confusing. Because like you said, there's the mole, the sea, and the air. And the mole, like, it shows the mole, which is just a long dock essentially. And it shows it, and then a word comes on the screen that says the mole, and it says 1 week. And then it shows a guy getting into a boat in Britain, and it says 1 day. And then it shows a guy in a plane, and it says 1 hour. But it doesn't say, like, an hour till what?
Yeah.
Or, like, you know, like, you kind of get it, like, when you get to the end of the movie, like, oh, they meant an hour till the climax of the movie. But it's not, like, because there's not really, like, a conclusive thing that happens during Dunkirk. Like, during the event. Like, what does it mean? Like, till the Germans attack? Till everyone arrives? Till they all die? Saved. Till they're all saved? Like, it's not very clear what's happening.
Yeah.
So I just think, like, they needed to be more clear with what was happening in this movie. Because if you stop paying attention for a moment, like, that's why I like your words, like, demands your attention. If you don't give it your attention for, like, 5 minutes, you're just lost. The entire movie. Like, and I think it's a pretty big detriment. I think anybody who's watched it once, I don't think they probably got it unless they were like glued to the screen and understood what happened at Dunkirk. So those are my main thoughts I wanted to get off my chest before we got into a discussion. Oh, also, 400,000 men. There were like 500 dudes on that beach. Like, at any time. Like, there were not that many. 400,000? Do you have any idea how many people 400,000 people is?
Yeah.
That's a huge amount of people. That's like 5 times the capacity of, like, the biggest sports stadiums. There were, like, a couple hundred dudes on that beach, queued up in, like, 3 lines. Like, that was not 400,000. You're not fooling me, Christopher Nolan. Just use CGI. Just put some people on the beach.
I think I read somewhere that they got either 1,000 or 10,000 extras, and then they filled it up with cardboard cutouts.
But they didn't. Like, if you just watch the scene, I could count them. I guarantee it. I could guarantee you.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few scenes like, where, like, yeah, you can count them. But, like, that opening scene when...
max 10,000 people on that beach.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever been to, like...
that's still quite a bit.
But, like, think about it. Have you ever been to, like, Santa Barbara during the summer? there's way more people on the beach during like Santa Barbara, or if like you've ever been to Italy on the beach, like way more people, people. And like the city of Dunkirk looks fine. That place was bombed to crap. There was nothing left. It looks nice. It's scenic there. Anyways, there were just a couple weird things. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, I don't think that's how it would be. But those were the main problems I had with it. But watching it the second time, I enjoyed it a lot more. What do you think about what I said? I know I said a ton.
I think it's... I don't know. I don't know if I could like judge the movie just based on like how many extras they use for a certain shot. Because a lot of movies, they don't show you like the whole scope of something. Usually they take those same 500 extras and they just move them around, you know. It was like in Halloween where they filmed it in like the summer, but they had all these like, it's like all the trees are green, but they had all these leaves and they would just spray them around and then pick them up again and move them around to the next scene. It's the same leaves every shot. So I don't know if I can like not diss the movie, but like take points away from the movie just because of the extras.
Well,
because I think it like maybe it didn't do what it was meant to do.
I think
like maybe it didn't execute it well.
If there's a solution to the problem, you can criticize it. Like, because I think that half of like the majority of what makes Dunkirk so incredible, like as a real event, is that they actually got about 400,000 people off that beach, you know?
Yeah.
And it looks like less than the amount that Churchill thought they were going to get off. He thought they'd get 30,000, you know? And I don't know. It's just, I think, because if they use CGI, they could have made it look like that. There's other movies where you see Dunkirk where it looks like there's more people there. Or like with what you said with the leaves, like you could just shoot accordingly so it looks like there's more people. Like when he's hitting the ground and the bombs are coming, it looks like there's more people in that shot because they're closer. But Christopher Nolan cannot resist that wide lens freaking IMAX shot where he like flies above and you see like the 5 cues of like 100 dudes on the beach. So I just think it's a mistake on his part, where so much of this conflict hinges upon the fact that many people are in danger and that many people are saved. But I get what you're saying. Like, I'm not trying to, like, it's not a huge problem. I just remember noticing that. So, but it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
Okay. But yeah, you got me thinking about the extras now on the beach. I'm like trying to remember the scenes.
I'll find a picture so it's not totally...
Watching this movie again, I really liked it. And it actually made me well up a couple times. Almost misty-eyed. And those towards the latter half of the movie. But yeah, you're totally right. Like the authenticity of this film is so great. And I love the shot when the civilian boats are coming to rescue the soldiers on the beach.
I know when they're coming in, the music swells.
Yeah, and I like the change of color, like because all you see is like these dark blues and grays for a while, and then you see like these white civilian boats with red trim and stuff, and it's just like such a... I don't know, it's weird to say like that's a sign of hope or a glimmer of hope for the soldiers, but it's just like that's home for them coming to rescue them. And I thought that was really cool.
I love that. I agree.
Yeah, problems with this movie that I have, I don't know if I have too many problems with this movie. No, I don't think I do.
That's interesting.
Nothing that stands out to me. Like maybe the first time I did watch it, yeah, it was a little jumbled, and understanding what was going on was a little confusing. And then there is some audio stuff with Tom Hardy's character, but even then, I think that was just because of his situation being in a fighter plane.
Yeah.
In 1940. But no, I really don't have any problems with this movie. I'm not saying it's a perfect movie or a great, fantastic movie, but I think it definitely resonated with me a lot more than it did in the past. And I'm starting to think that like Nolan's latter movies are way, like, I think Dunkirk is better than most of his movies, by my like recollection.
That's interesting. Like, I think it's so hard to compare. Like, it's hard to compare this movie to Tenet, because Tenet is such a like a lighthearted movie, you know what I mean? Whereas this movie is like very, very dark and very realistic, and a very, probably one of the most honest portrayals of war I've ever seen. You know, so it's like this thing that's like, it belongs in a museum or something, right? And then you have Tenet, which is like, oh, let's have fun with like spies and like time, right? So because part of me is like, oh, I'd rather watch Tenet again, but like part of me would rather watch Dunkirk again. It does show his prowess that this director can work in like such different genres. Like, wow, could you find a movie that's more different from, I don't know, The Prestige or like Inception or Interstellar? Like, it's crazy.
Batman.
And I don't know, but there's still things I don't know. There's some things like, part of me,
what's bothering you?
I just am very conflicted about this movie. Especially because I liked this movie so much more the second time. The second time, I liked this movie. First time, I had like active dislike for this movie. Wow. It was just, none of it made sense. I thought that he made inferior decisions in the name of authenticity. A lot of plot points seem like Easter eggs that you have to pay extra attention for, when it's like, no, that's just the plot. And like really good plot points, like Cillian Murphy's character being the one who tells them to like not get into the raft, and then like later he gets cracked and he's shell shocked. Like, I think that's the most important moment in the movie, is seeing that transition in Cillian Murphy's character. But you do not see that if you're not paying extreme attention.
Yeah, that's definitely like the point where you find out that it's like, oh, it's moving back and forth through time,
right?
For sure.
And
I see where you're getting at there.
So it's just like, I shouldn't have to like watch a movie a second time to get what is pretty much integral to it. That's just my opinion. Like, it's the same problem I had with Tenet, right? That I shouldn't have to watch a movie multiple times to understand some of the basic plot points. And I do, but the thing is, before I watched it the second time, I watched that short documentary, and I listened to Winston Churchill's famous speech like 2 or 3 times. The one that they read at the end. And when I was listening to it, just on a run, man, tears were coming from my eyes. Like, what a powerful speech. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And so understanding like the context helps a lot to make the movie better, and understanding who the characters are before. And I don't know. I think my main problems just come from the fact that I felt like I had to prepare so much to enjoy this movie before I could truly enjoy it. I don't know if that makes sense, because I don't feel like I have to do that for like Schindler's List or Saving Private Ryan or Black Hawk Down or like a lot of these other really great war movies. And like, I get it, they're a little bit different. Or like some of the movies about 9/11 that I've watched. Like, I don't have to do a lot of prep work to know this is a good movie, even though they're all about disasters and not as much about character. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a little too dense, I think, for its own good.
I could see that.
But I still like it. At the end of the day, I think it's a great movie. So I'm not trying to say it's not. I'm just, my struggle with the movie, I'm trying to communicate that.
Okay. Well, since you're such a Debbie Downer, talk about your positives. Tell me what you like about this movie.
Like I said, I think it's the most... one of my words probably should have replaced horrific and been honest. I think it's the most honest portrayal of war I've ever seen. Not a single character is like Tom Hanks using a pistol to blow up a tank, right? Like, nothing is like that. The entire movie is, oh, okay, there's these 2 young kids, one of them barely escapes, and his friends all die, and then they like lie to try to get onto the boat, essentially, just trying to like do anything they can to like, hey, screw you, 398,000 people, we're getting on this boat, we're going home. You know, like
Yeah.
they're not being like great people. One of them's lying. One of them's French and he's deserting his army. Cillian Murphy thinks he understands war, but then when he gets torpedoed, he like accidentally kills a kid trying to get home, and he has like these horrible issues with PTSD and just so on and so forth with everybody. There's no like clear, and like Harry Styles wants to kill him because he's French. Like, you know, it's pretty much only Tom Hardy is like a hero, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah. And I think he's based off a real person too.
Yeah. But I think it's so honest. Like, I love that. And I don't think any of them are bad people. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think those kids are bad.
They're definitely like out for themselves, of course, as they should be. It's, you know, survival of the fittest at that point. It's almost like when they're in that boat with Harry Styles and stuff, it's almost like King of the Flies or Lord of the Flies. You know, like we have the one weak link and we're going to kill him.
Yeah. And like, they are wrong. You know, like it's not the right thing to do, but like everything they do is understandable, and I don't think it necessarily makes them like villains, you know what I mean? But I love that it's this just really honest portrayal of a conflict and of what's going on, and so I think that's its greatest strength, is just actually helping people to understand war a little bit better, kind of like Tora Tora Tora, you know. It reminded me of that a lot.
What's that? Tell me.
It's another really honest film, but it's about Pearl Harbor.
Oh, okay.
It's really good. You'd love it.
Oh, I'm sure I would.
Yeah.
You know me.
Yeah. but yeah.
I love honest takes on war.
I get off on death. but yeah. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. And I think it's just good. Like, once you understand the time jumping, it's really great. And it builds tons of suspense, right? Because you see Cillian Murphy broken before you see him whole.
Yeah. I feel like you're making actually a really good point about maybe Christopher Nolan is letting himself get in the way too much.
Thank you.
If he just made it like point A and point B, this is a chronological telling of this event where you added these characters when they were involved in what was actually going on, that would have made it easier for people to understand, and like so they don't have to watch it a second or third time. It would be because they want to more. Kind of like how you are now after the second viewing, you want to watch it again.
It's great
because now you know. So I totally understand. And it's weird. Like, this movie did really well.
Yeah, did better than Tenet.
You know,
granted, totally different circumstances, but
very different circumstances. But still, it was weird to see that this movie, because I always thought that this would be like his worst, like, I don't know, reviewed movie, maybe, or budget-wise box office movie, because it's such a, not niche, but it's something where the kids aren't going out to go see this.
Yeah,
you know?
It's not like Inception where you're in third grade and everyone's talking about it.
Yeah. It's not Fast and Furious 9 or something.
Fast 9, Chris.
Fast 9,
you
sorry.
Fool.
It's Dunkirk, but it did like $530 million in the box office.
It's like, and yeah, because I agree. It's like, not only is it not super appealing to like, you know, a popcorn crowd or whatever, it's also like about a pretty obscure event in World War II, because it's not about fighting. You know, it's not about like, oh, we landed on Omaha. You know, it's not. So I agree.
And it's interesting because he never talks about why Dunkirk happened or what were the ramifications of Dunkirk. Yeah. He only shows you their perspective, let's say.
It's just the
like
event.
you get that great opening with like the flyers in the air, and Tommy picks them up, and it's like, we're surrounding you.
How horrifying.
It's terrifying. Like, they would just flyers above, like overhead.
I love that they took the time to make those really nice, pretty art. Use the red ink.
Adolf Hitler hand drew each and every one of those.
I know. Oh, it's awesome.
But they never talk about like how Hitler didn't want the tanks to go through with the Blitzkrieg through France, and how Rommel wanted him to, and he had two chances to let the Panzers like just go through France, but he said no twice.
Yeah, they were there. They could have gone through whenever they wanted. The war,
pretty much.
So imagine you get taken out like, the entire army, essentially.
You do need to like read a history book on this event to understand what's really going on. Because, like, if I'm a kid and I go see this movie, I'm expecting Saving Private Ryan or Hacksaw Ridge level of warfare. But I get people standing on beaches, an old guy with his son and some weird kid on a boat, and then Bane in a plane.
Bane in a plane.
You know?
What does he say?
Like,
would you throw a man out of a plane?
Shoot
a man. Throw him
I
out
thought
of
you were
a
talking about
plane.
his character in this. I'm like, I couldn't understand what his character was saying.
It's because you gotta, if you want to understand, you gotta vibrate rapidly and then you can talk.
Vibrate violently. He did sound a little bit like Bane, though. It was funny.
Bogey down.
Bogey down. Yeah, do you want...
Sorry.
Can I say something really quick?
The smoke rises. Sorry.
The fire rises.
But the smoke from the plate.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you're very right.
This movie reminds me very much of the latter half of Jaws.
They are in the water.
They are in the water, but it's like everything is still and stagnant, and it's more of a character development movie at this point. And then you know that there's an enemy around the corner, but you don't see the enemy throughout the entire movie. You know, you only see the Germans at the very last scene, and even then, it's like a blur or a silhouette. You know, when they capture Tom Hardy's character, what was his name? It was
Farrier, I believe.
Farrier. But it kind of reminded me in that way, like the suspense was building up the entire movie, of like what's going to happen. Because if you are ignorant of the historical facts about this event, you are being like, when are they coming? When are the Germans going to show up? Like, if the Germans show up, they're all dead.
Yeah.
But they never do.
Like that.
Even then, like that scene with them in the boat that's grounded at first.
Oh, sorry.
And then they start shooting. What?
This was like, which one? Like when they're in the boat.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're totally fine.
The beached boat that gets shot, and like they think it's just target practice at first. I thought that was awesome.
Great scene.
It was a great scene. I wonder if that Dutchman was like a spy and was like just going in there, and if he gets pulled in, like they'll start shooting it more, because they started shooting it rapidly after he showed up.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Or was it after?
I think they don't shoot the first shot until he's in. Because otherwise he would have been shot, right. I imagine.
Yeah, that is a good point.
I've been to war.
But where do you want to go from here, my friend?
Oh, I don't know. I like what you were doing with the talk about the mold and the sea in the air. Probably spend 10 minutes on each.
Yeah,
because we can pretty much use that to talk about the characters.
Pretty much. So we started off in Dunkirk with Tommy.
Tommy is reaching for a cigarette.
Yeah.
Pooping.
So, tell me about Tommy. Tell me about this opening scene. What were your initial thoughts watching this movie and seeing the cinematography masterpiece?
Tommy is a man who I think is still constipated to this day, because he was never allowed to poop. Tries to poop then, doesn't do it. Tries to poop later.
That's a good point.
That's a good
point.
I don't see him poop any other time, and they wanted to show us the first 2 times, so I imagine he just doesn't poop over the course of that week. Yeah. This is the thing. I don't think there is a whole lot of character in this movie, and I think that Christopher Nolan did that on purpose, because he really wanted this to be about Dunkirk, as opposed to about Tommy or Farrier or Coulson or Alex. You know, Tommy seems fine. He's definitely the audience character, right? Where he has the most normal moral compass, and he's afraid and he's young. So I think that's most of what there is to say about the character of Tommy. But man, I love that opening scene. It's like reaching for the cigarettes, and the flyers are so beautiful, and they're flying in the air, and seeing everyone get picked off one by one is so horrifying. you know, and then seeing him run again to the French line alone, I think it's really, really, really effective. So that's what I think. But what do you think about Tommy and this first stuff?
I think you're right. Tommy is like the audience's character, and he's almost like he's their vessel for the movie, pretty much. No pun intended.
Hey.
Yeah, he has a strange character arc, kind of. Because obviously he wants to get off the beach, he wants to get home, but he does it in like such a weird way. Like he stumbles upon, while trying to poop, he stumbles upon this Frenchman who you think might have killed an Englishman.
I never thought that. That's so interesting.
That was my first thought. I was like, he's just burying him.
I didn't think he was French. I just thought he was a quiet dude.
Yeah, but like you find out later that he's French.
Yeah. He dies for it.
I don't know why I thought he was French at first either, because in my notes I did write, did this Frenchman kill Gibson?
You might have just remembered from the first time you watched the movie.
Maybe I'm just psychic.
You are psychic.
But then they, without speaking, they both understand that they need to find a wounded soldier who was like forgotten, and they need to take him onto the boat, and they get on the boat multiple times, pretty much, just to be kicked off. So that was kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I think that's the point, but I totally agree.
Yeah.
I love that. Sorry, just going off what you were saying with them being French, like, I love that. Like, this is the thing. I could spend an hour or two with someone and not notice that they don't speak English. But could I spend 6 days with someone and not notice that they don't speak it? Like, because people are always like, well, they wouldn't have known because they wouldn't have been worrying about what their names were and where they were from. After 6 days on the beach, you would talk. You'd be like, where do you serve?
Because you're just with him and with Harry Styles for 5 days, basically.
Right? Like, how is Harry Styles the only one who notices this dude literally does not speak?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, I don't know, that's how I felt. I was like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
I will say, speaking on Harry Styles, interesting that he's a character in this, and he does a really good job playing the part.
I agree.
But man, I don't like his character.
You're not a nice guy, you know? Very,
No. Always thinks the worst of people.
I don't...
Like, why are you thinking, like, spoiler alert, the train, at the very end, he thinks that they're trying to, like, berate him, and, like, he's like, I can't look at them.
Interesting. You didn't like that, huh?
Well, it's like...
I think that's how I would feel. Because I think...
Maybe, but it's like, this is the second time he was wrong about something like that. Because the first time is with the blind man, he's like, he won't even look me in the eye.
Yeah.
It's just look.
Well, I think that he's... It's not that he thinks the worst of other people, it's that he thinks the worst of himself. Like, as a soldier, like, he thinks that he's failed his country and he deserves to be, like, looked down upon. He deserves.
Maybe I was just reading it wrong, because I was reading it in a way that he deserved better from these people.
Oh, I don't think that's how he felt at all. I think he was ashamed that he didn't die fighting.
Then I was just reading it wrong. Because, like, I get that from other characters.
Interesting.
But I didn't get it from Harry Styles. Even though I love... Harry Styles was exceptional in this movie.
Weirdly enough, he did a great job. Apparently, Harry Styles should act.
He was really good.
He did a wonderful job. Also, one of the only people I could recognize, because he's Harry Styles. So that was nice.
Yeah.
He's one of the only people I consistently
like Mick Jagger
know.
A little bit.
Like who?
Mick Jagger.
Yeah, he does.
Just ever so slightly. I don't know why I thought that when I was watching it.
He's like that, but in the character creator, they like decreased the mouth size by 50%.
Yes.
But he does look like Mick Jagger. He's a very handsome man. Very handsome dude.
A lot of handsome boys in this movie.
Boys. He's very racist, though. He does not like the frog man. Can we talk about Gibson for a second? Like,
yeah, sure.
And his completely, like, totally unceremonious death. Like,
yeah.
Like, I get that that's that plays really well into like the narrative, into like the feeling that Nolan's going for, that like war claims people and it doesn't care who you are, and like death can happen like that. It just felt really weird because like none of the other main characters die like that, and Gibson's just like, oh, I guess he didn't swim out. Goodbye. No one notices.
It was a nice little redemption arc, I guess, with Harry Styles' character, because he in the end warns him like, hey, we need to go, even though he was about to kill him. But yeah, it was really weird.
It's just odd. Like, it's just a little just weird, right? Like, that's not just
I feel
me.
like maybe some other main character should have died to make that seem not so off-putting.
Like, maybe Harry Styles should have died because
Yeah,
he said words, so it would have meant something. Like, because this is the thing. I don't want Gibson to die, but I don't care because he's literally said one word, and that was français, to say he was French, right? Like, so is that the right person to kill off? I don't know. I don't know if that's the right person.
Not.
Maybe Tommy, even though Tommy shouldn't die because he's the audience. Probably Harry Styles. Although there is one other guy that dies that you recognize. The dude who's like, you better hope it's enough white because you'll be volunteered next. With the gun, he has like a short bear. He dies because he comes up into the oil and burns alive. It's an awful way to go. But yeah, really odd. I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Just didn't want him in the movie anymore. Yeah, you're Gibson. And Tommy doesn't even notice. Yeah. Tommy never says a word.
Yeah. I'm thinking about all these characters, and you're right. This movie is about just the event. And I feel like the characters are more caricatures in a way, where they're like the themes of certain things,
100%.
You have greed, you have fear, like the one guy said who got burned alive.
Yeah, with his much more important line about survival.
Yeah. And then you got like the what's his name, Mr. Dawson.
Oh, I love Mr. Dawson.
But he's like a more honorable, respectful look at war, and like he has those, he's been through stuff, you can tell. And then you have Cillian Murphy's character, who is shell-shocked, and he has a new way of looking at things. Just go and try to protect yourselves. Just go home. He doesn't want to save his other countrymen, which is really, like, yeah, he's in shell-shock, but that's really off-putting too, and dishonorable. And then he kills a kid.
It was an accident. Plus, that was a weird kid.
Sure. But yeah, it was a weird kid. Yeah.
I didn't like George at all.
The kid looked 40.
Right? Like, it was.
I'm sorry. I don't like making fun of people. I'm not trying to make fun of them, but
I'm not trying to either. But like, the top half of his face looks 40, and the bottom half looks like a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
I don't know.
Interesting though.
It is.
Well, you're jumping the gun here, Chris. We haven't moved to the sea.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm forgetting about the most important character,
Kenneth Branagh.
I can't believe he was in this movie.
Right? He looks great.
I totally forgot. Yeah.
He's not crazy in this.
Looks like a serial killer.
Yeah. He looks like a normal dude. Yeah. I liked his line where the one guy's like, "Doesn't the tide come in every 3 hours?" He's like, "No, it comes in every 6. Ain't it a good thing that I'm Navy and you're Army?" Or whatever. Like, it's like, nah, that's cute. And then they use that in a second when the other Army guy's like, "Tide comes in every 3 hours." And you're like, "No, it doesn't." And then the boat doesn't leave forever. So it's like, oh, good job, Christopher Nolan. You understand suspense.
He understands time.
Does he? He focuses a lot on it. I've understood it.
Yes.
Is there anyone else?
Where do we go?
It's pretty much...
No, we just have Kenneth Branagh, and then we have just like... How do you feel about, like, you've already discussed your concerns and your dislikes about the beach scenes.
Yes.
But there were some awesome scenes on the beach. Like when Tommy is laying down with the fighter going overhead, and like you see the artillery going closer and closer. It's so cool. That's such a great scene.
Fantastic. Beautifully framed. And great scene.
I just have to say, this might be the best shot movie I've ever seen.
Interesting. It's good.
Like the consistency, just like, it's always like, man, this could just be a photograph or a painting. It's just so perfect.
Everything's beautiful. Especially like some of the
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say some of the really unique things about the beach, like the foam and the way it clumps up and the way it changes colors,
Yeah.
and the way the water is different. Like when they're in the oil and it's brown, and just
Yeah.
I very much agree. Christopher Nolan really used his assets when it came to making this movie beautiful, and also harrowing, because it's just this light blue gray, drab melancholy is like the name of the game. It's which is why I think the red stands out so much on those civilian boats. But yeah, I very much agree. Beautiful movie.
Yeah. I forgot who the director of photography was, but he should get a raise.
He should.
That was beautiful. Like, this is a great movie.
And it sounds good too.
Great. It does.
He did it.
It does sound good.
He did it for the most part. It won the Academy Award for sound direction, as well as a Grammy, I believe, for the sound direction.
I know, I read that before watching it for the podcast, and I was like, I don't believe it. And it was really good.
It was not as bad as many of Christopher's other movies. I don't know. Yes. I don't know why I can't do it. But
shall we move on to The Sea?
Let's see what it has in store.
Shut up. With Mr. Dawson, George, and Peter.
Ah, Mr. Dawson. Dead George. Spoiler alert.
Dawson.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Mr. Dawson's probably my favorite character that actually has character. I really like Dawson. But I started the last one. You give me how you feel about The Sea and your favorite characters, your favorite moments, all that jazz.
It's because you get this feeling that Mr. Dawson is going out when he shouldn't. Like, he skipped the officers because probably something was going on. Maybe, I don't know why he wanted to get off before they showed up.
I think
I'm assuming it was because of the kids.
So this is the thing. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense. I think they were going to commission his vehicle and someone else was going to pilot the vehicle.
Oh,
so he wanted to be the captain. He wanted to go.
Okay,
I think that's what was going on.
That's probably it.
We were confused about it too, so that's why I thought about it for a while.
But Mr. Dawson, he's a interesting cat.
He's a clever cat.
He's really in this, and he really wants to do this because he wants to make it up to his son, who died 3 weeks into the war as a pilot. So he wanted to go in, and you can tell that he has a really soft spot for airplanes and for pilots and stuff. He's always naming off the engines and whatnot, and it's really cool. And at first you don't realize that, so you're thinking, wow, he's just really smart, or
he loves planes.
Maybe he was a pilot at some point, but it was just because that's what his son was into. So that was just a really nice. He is like the best character
as an actual character. Definitely.
Yeah. And really well written too, because there's so much communication between the characters on this boat that is not so much in words and stuff, but it's just in glances and looks and nods. Like, they just understand each other, and I really like that. There's probably one of my favorite scenes is so this is after Cillian Murphy is rescued, and this is after George has died, after they rescued the other pilot that Ferrier was with. There's a scene where when they rescue the soldiers that were bombed, and the soldiers are moving around George's body, and Peter's like, hey, be careful with him, and the soldier's like, he's dead, mate. And then Peter's like, well, be careful with him then. You know, that's a really nice scene. But then Cillian Murphy is asking how the boy's doing, and so, like, Peter could have just blew up and got angry at him or something, kicked him overboard, but instead, just because he knew Cillian's situation, he said, yeah, he's fine. And then him and his, I think, dad look at each other and nod. And I think that's just a really powerful scene of understanding and kind of compromising, I guess, for people with PTSD and shell shock.
Yeah.
It was a really cool touch that you don't really see very often in movies.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I thought that scene was just beautiful. And, you know, I definitely think of Dawson as almost like a Christ-like figure with like endless forgiveness and mercy. We only see like him on screen for probably 15 minutes, but somehow it manages to communicate that. And I think it's cool that he teaches that to his son, right? Peter, I think is his son's name. Over the course of the film, it goes from being very fearful and like not wanting to go out of his way to, you know, he's scared to go get the pilot because he's seen the bombings, until at the end. And, you know, in the middle of the movie, he tells him, no, he's not fine. You almost killed him. He's blind, you know? But then at the end, I feel like he's learned something from his father, and he can say like, yeah, he's okay. So it's just, I really agree. I think my favorite scene with Dawson is when Peter's like, he's dead. He didn't get out of the plane. Like, he didn't see a parachute. And just Dawson's voice when he's like, he might be alive. He might be. We have to try. You know, it's just like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Especially knowing that his son died that way.
Yeah, so he's like, you don't want that. You don't want to put that burden on another father or whatnot. So yeah, I totally agree.
Such a powerful scene. I think everything character-wise comes from Dawson. Just, oh my gosh. Makes me want to cry. Just like thinking about it.
Me too.
And poor
Did this movie make you cry at all?
It did not. Churchill's speech did, but that was when I heard Churchill give it, because Churchill did a better job than Tommy. But it's okay. Tommy did an okay job.
Was that Tommy or was that...
That was Tommy.
Okay.
Because Alex...
Oh, yes, when he's reading the paper, that's right. Okay. I guess, should we talk about George a little bit?
Dead George?
Dead George.
Yeah. Good job, Dead George. I feel bad. It's like, I don't want to disrespect him, because I think he was based on a real person, but...
I always felt like, even this time watching the movie, because I forgot who died. I thought like maybe Peter died, being like the really upstanding child. Maybe, but like it changed watching the movie a second time. But I always thought he was gonna be the cowardly one that messes something up or ruins everyone's day for some reason. I don't know why. But he just wanted to go out and become something.
Yeah. Because
he wasn't doing well in school. So he wanted to be in the paper for being a hero. And that's a really touching thing when Peter does that for him at the end.
It is. It's very touching. That made me tear up a bit. The second time, just been like, oh, Peter.
Yeah.
It's he's interesting. And George also, for the second time, is when we see that theme of blindness show up. Which I want to talk about at the end, just because I'm not sure I understand it, you know? See what you think about it later. But it is significant that he's one of the characters that actually experiences like real blindness, right? As opposed to figurative blindness. But
that is interesting.
He died a little too early, you know? Total accident, you know? And he just happened to hit his brain wrong. You're dead. Isn't that so horrible?
Yeah. That's so crazy.
Like Grace and I were, this sounds morbid, but Grace and I were talking about that yesterday, because we're both in somewhat medical professions, like in school. I'm taking a lot of psychology classes right now, so I'm learning a lot about the brain, and Grace wants to be a PA. So I'm learning all about how, like, oh, you better not, you know, hit your head like just wrong right here. You break your neofrontal cortex and bada bing, bada boom. You don't care about motivation anymore. You know, you can't experience emotion. And like she watched a video. It was on like prenatal development. And it was talking about how toddlers, like one was on a coffee table and it just fell off the coffee table, or something like fell down one stair, dead. Like, it's just crazy. If you hit your head this wrong, just in that one spot, you're dead. So it's just insane how fleeting life is. How much it can just go away if you're not lucky. And I think that's also a theme in the movie. So it makes sense that it would happen to this kid. Like, who should have been the most safe character? Surely these kids, not these guys on the beach who are, you know, swimming through oil that's on fire. But no, they're safer than this kid who just happens to fall down the stairs and die. So, very interesting.
That's weird, because he's like, obviously, hundreds of people die in this movie, but he's the only other character that really dies in this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
Besides Gibson.
Besides Gibson, who doesn't have any lines.
Doesn't even acknowledge it that he died.
But yeah, I guess we should just talk about The Air with Tom Hardy's character Farrier and his other co-pilot Collins.
And Fortis leader.
How'd you like these scenes?
Man, I like them a lot more the second time. I think these were the most frustrating scenes the first time you watch it, because you see everything that's happening like ahead of time, and then you see it again, and then you see it ahead of time, and then you see it again, and now it's night, and now it's day, and now it's night, and it's day.
Yeah.
I really like these scenes, though, especially understanding what's going to happen. It's like, I actually know who these people are, and I knew which one was Farrier, and I knew which one was Collins. I think they're pretty incredible, especially from a film perspective. Just like how they did this is crazy, and how good the shots look, and how much Tom Hardy acts. Granted, he has a lot of experience with it, but how well Tom Hardy can act with a mask over his face, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Bane, freaking Mad Max over here, constantly with crap on his face. But does a great job. Communicates a lot with his eyes. That is a good actor. He's a great actor. So, I don't know. That's kind of how I felt about it. Very suspenseful. Love that his gas gauge is broken. Stuff like that. Top notch. Thought did a great job. Sacrifices himself.
So much little detail and stuff. Asking Collins what his gas gauge is so he can write it down and stuff, so that he can keep track of it. It is really cool. And I almost felt like we get to a point in the movie where Collins goes down. It doesn't die. But in Farrier's perspective and Tom Hardy's perspective, you think that Collins is just like ditching, like just getting out of it, because he thinks that when Collins is like pushing his arm out, he's waving at him, and that he just turned off his radio and left him. At least that's what I thought.
Really? But he watches him crash.
Yeah, but he didn't really crash. He landed. He did a water landing.
Yeah, but those planes aren't supposed to do that.
Yeah, I know, but like you got the boat right there that's gonna save people. And then he just goes down.
I can't imagine that's what Tom Hardy was thinking. That'd be awful.
Well, because he was confused. He's like, "Hello, Collins, are you there?" And he just like looks over and sees him.
Well, I think he thought that he got shot or something.
Oh, okay.
That'd be hilarious though if Tom Hardy literally was just like, he just pieced out. He's getting on the boat and going home.
That's what I thought. It's like, whoa, okay. But then you find out that he wasn't waving at him. He was trying to break free and stuff.
Yeah. Heck, I don't know.
Okay.
I think he knew. I think he just thought Collins was gonna die.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Oh, that's funny. That would be. I hope that's what he thought, because that would be hilarious. Just like, I'm out of here. I don't want to fight these guys anymore. I'm gonna get on this boat.
That's totally what I thought.
I'll have to ask Mr. Nolan.
Just reading this movie wrong.
We have to send a letter to Christopher Nolan and ask him.
Yeah, I guess so.
What was Farrier thinking? Oh my gosh. I don't know.
But yeah,
it's
it ends.
Yeah.
There's a great the climax of the movie is really cool.
Yeah, it is. With
Farrier not having any gas and he's just gliding over the beach. Beautiful scenes.
Incredible.
Beautiful. And then he shoots down a German fighter pilot while gliding.
I know.
Which happened in real life, I guess, at that beach, and was based off of a real thing. Apparently it's really easy to shoot down the German pilots because they have to like nosedive or something. Just the way that their planes are built and the way they have to maneuver them. But yeah,
it's all that sauerkraut in their engines. They don't fly well.
Yes. What did Harry Styles say?
Like, I bet his accent is thicker than sauerkraut juice.
Sauerkraut.
Like what? Or sauerkraut sauce?
That's so like racist.
He's a Jerry.
Yeah,
I love it, man.
Perfect impression of Harry Styles.
That's what I do. Watermelon sugar.
You sound like Harry Potter in the first one.
He's got to make the worst, most offensive accent possible. I hope all of our
Yes.
many British listeners aren't completely offended by that.
Yes.
Yeah, Jarries.
I hope Christopher Nolan's not offended right now.
Christopher Nolan speaks far too softly.
Christopher Nolan, please write in. Tell us if you're offended.
Please do.
Please.
Send us a signed copy of how angry you are at us. I'd take that. I'd be okay with that. And a piece of your hair if possible.
And Kenneth Branagh's shoe.
Oh, please.
Please.
Please. I love Kenneth Branagh's, like, that his mouth doesn't consist of lips. It's just like a hole in his face.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's not just me, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And I love Kenneth Branagh. It's just funny.
Yeah.
But yeah. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah.
We're talking about the ending of the movie.
Great ending. I love that moment when you realize the first time you watch it, like, oh, crap. Like, these are all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I think what held me back from understanding it the first time immediately was, like, they look like they're really far out in the ocean, right? They look like they're far into the English Channel during that last scene. But, like, every other time you see the tugboat, it's like 5 feet off of land getting powdered with, like, freaking machine gun fire. So I was like, wait, that's the boat? Like, when did they get further out? They sunk like 5 minutes after they got taken by the tide.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little confusing, a little bit odd.
It was. Sure.
But it was not a big deal. It's like, whatever.
I just gotta say one more scene before we get into our final thoughts. I love the shot of Tom Hardy, like, as he's gliding, like he's done. No more fighting, and he just opens the cockpit, and he just, like, takes it in for a little bit, knowing that, like, his work is done. I thought that was a really powerful scene.
Me too.
You know, not a lot of dialogue in this movie. Not a lot of anything.
No, nothing to this. I agree. I think,
But it's powerful symbolism throughout the movie.
yeah. I think that it speaks in a way that is not common for film. So I think it's an achievement.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little hard to access. But once you understand it, it's like, whoa, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the scene where he's, like, opening up his landing gear. I definitely thought he was going to crash and die for some reason.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But I love when it's underneath the plane, you just see the beach rushing past, and now it's almost empty. And it's like, wow, the work is finished, you know? And when he lights it on fire and you see him and the silhouettes of the Germans, it's just like such a beautiful shot. Him in front of the plane on fire.
Yeah.
It's like Christopher Nolan is good at directing movies.
It's like it's his profession or
It's
something.
like he's been doing this for a while. $100 million for this movie, by the way.
Yeah. It's quite a bit.
Very expensive.
Half as much as Tenet, apparently.
Yeah, half as much as Tenet. Tenet's more important. Better movie, so...
Tenet has bigger actors in it.
Does it, though?
So.
It kind of does. Because some of these actors are big, but they're, like, big because they're Christopher Nolan entourage actors. Like Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy's probably one of my favorite actors right now.
Yeah, he's great.
Shout out, by the way. This is a different movie. But A Quiet Place Part 2 stars Cillian Murphy. And
Oh, spoiler alert.
oh, big spoiler alert. Don't look at the poster, guys, for Quiet Place Part 2. But oh my gosh. He is amazing.
Really?
A Quiet Place Part 2 is really good. I don't know how you felt about the first one. I don't think you were super hot on it. I thought it was okay. I liked the first one.
It's all right.
I didn't dislike it at all. I thought it was a very capable, horror film. I thought it plays with suspense in really interesting ways. I thought it was a lot more effective than most horror films that come out. But man, I thought the second one was fantastic. I loved it. And Cillian Murphy knocks it out of the park. He should be Joel. They need to kick Pablo Pascal out and just cast Cillian Murphy. He'd be the best Joel ever. There's like a Joel and Ellie moment in that movie too. Oh gosh, I just really like Cillian Murphy. Anyways,
have you ever seen Peaky Blinders?
No, I mean to. I always keep meaning to over and over again.
Same, me too.
I know he's in it though. So,
I never will.
I won't. It's too much. But I will mean to until the day I die though. So
yeah. I guess that's the movie.
that was A Quiet Place Part 2, guys. Thank you.
Yes. Do you have any closing thoughts on Dunkirk? Anything else you want to do for this movie?
I want to figure out the blindness with you.
Okay.
If that would be all right.
I thought you meant my blindness, like my personal blindness.
I want to figure out why you don't get this.
I want to see what's wrong with your brain and why you can't function.
Let's pick apart your idiocy. No, I'm kidding. Unless you have fast ones. I didn't write any fast ones.
I have maybe one fast one.
Oh, hello.
I don't think this movie deserved fast ones.
I think
it's weird to do fast ones on like a historical event.
Yeah, it's like more important than fast ones, right? It's like,
what am I going to ask? Do you wish the Germans caught up to them? You know?
Gosh. I guess you could talk about the horrible.
Do you wish that Peter died too?
I know. How should Peter have died? Oh my gosh, you're very right.
I think I have. Yeah.
I have a quick fast
maybe,
one.
Where's Michael Caine?
Where is Michael Caine?
You hear his voice. You hear his voice.
Do you?
It's through the radio. Like, it's a pilot.
Oh, is it Fortis Leader? Is that Michael Caine?
Yeah. Yeah.
Michael Caine died.
But, like, he could have been, like, not Mr. Dawson, of course.
He could have,
But you could have done something with him.
Just give him
He could have been just another civilian boat.
He could have been the other commander. The one that shows up and that informs Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
What a fool Christopher Nolan is.
A fool.
An idiot.
Nolan.
Absolute imbecile, as it were. Ignoramus.
But yes, the blindness.
Blindness. Oh. So let me tell you what I wrote down for blindness. I wrote that George is blind, because literally he's blind when he hits his head, but he's also very naive, and that's a form of blindness, right? Then you have Cillian, who is really interesting, and that he's blind because when they first approach him to get into his raft, he tells him, like, no, you're fine. Like, float, we'll come back for you. It's going to be okay. And Alex, Harry Styles, yells at him, you don't know what this is like until you get torpedoed. And then he does get torpedoed, and then he does get it, and then he's the same as them, right? He's shell-shocked. So he was blind to that, and then, until he saw. So it's interesting that war, like, took away his blindness. And then there was Tommy, who somehow doesn't see that Gibson is French. But, like, also, I feel like he doesn't see the evil in people as well, which is interesting. And then the blind man is obviously blind. And that's related to Alex, who is blind to reality. Like, he doesn't see the blind man correctly. He doesn't see Gibson correctly, because Gibson's not going to kill anybody. I doubt Gibson did kill anybody.
Yeah.
He's the same as Harry Styles. He just wants to get off the sand, right? And so Alex is blind to that, and he's blind to the way that people react to them coming back. So it's just, like, obviously Christopher Nolan's trying to say something. Blindness is a theme. Like, it's not just you don't include two blind people in your movie, especially one of which doesn't start out blind, like, without a reason, right? So what do you think about it?
I don't know. I mean, you could take it in so many different ways. Because I don't know what it... Is it like a symbolism for the blindness to war? Like, you don't know each perspective until you're actually there, or, because I don't know what the blindness means for George, because it's just a physical blindness that it's not like he lives through it. Because it could be a thing where it's like he's blind and then he survives and becomes like a hero, but he can't see it. He can't see what he's done.
But at the same time, he didn't see himself properly until he became blind.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, I don't know.
Good job.
Usually the characters that are blind in, like, myths are the ones that actually see, right? Like, any oracle, blind. Heimdall, blind. Of course. Right? So, like, the blind characters are the ones that actually see. So maybe with the blind man, as well as with George, it's saying that, these lads are all right, and stuff like that. And I don't know. The humanity and the people and how war can blind us, but we can't be blind to war.
Mm-hmm.
And the depravity of war. I don't know. It's interesting.
I think we just need to talk to Nolan, get him on the show.
I think I need to get some bleach and
Oh my god.
then I can finally see. But
thank you for that.
you're welcome. But I agree. We need Nolan to just get on the show already. We know he listens to it. We know he's shy. You know, little scaredy cat. But
He's shy.
he's a little shy guy. He's a little put his little hair in front of his eyes. Doesn't want us to see him. We still see you, buddy.
That might have been the most innocent insult I've ever heard in my life.
That's what I do. I could never do
I like
Christopher dirty, man.
No.
The Knoll man is my man.
We'll save that for Inception.
That's probably true. You're gonna go in on that movie. I like Inception. It's gonna be very interesting.
Honestly, I keep joking around. I don't remember that movie at all.
What if you love it?
I remember Ellen Page, or Elliot Page now, being in it, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt was being himself in it.
Cillian Murphy was just being Cillian Murphy.
They're all just being themselves.
Yeah, Kane, he's just being himself. DiCaprio is just being
Is Michael
DiCaprio.
Caine in that movie?
Yeah, he's the teacher. Do you even know this movie? Tom Hardy's in that movie. You didn't
Inception?
remember that either. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's the entire Nolan cast is in that movie, except is Kenneth Branagh in it? He probably is.
Maybe.
Probably is.
Maybe.
We don't know anything anymore.
No.
Ah, dude, I'm excited for that one. Interstellar's next, though, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Or is it Dark Knight Rises and then Interstellar?
No. It's Interstellar.
No. I think you're right.
Don't be a fool, Josh.
What happens between Dark Knight Rises and Dark Knight?
Inception.
Really? What's between Dark
so.
Knight and Batman Begins?
Oh, I don't know.
There's something, right? I think he took a break between each movie.
No, because I think there's a good bit where there's a movie in between each Batman movie.
Yeah.
I think it might be Batman Begins, and then Inception, and then Dark Knight.
That seems right, but I don't know. I sure wish we had some device that could tell us.
Yeah, something.
You know what we do
That
have?
can just give us all the answers.
We have fans that can write in and give us the answer. Fans such as Christopher Nolan. Just
Ooh.
write on in. Let us know. And the thing is, you guys already know that the next movie we're going to do is Interstellar. So in the comments below, don't acknowledge Dunkirk. Write your questions that you have about Interstellar. That's what I'd like. I want to know what you want us to cover, what you are interested in us talking about.
Yeah. Give us those questions, comments, and concerns.
Then like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell, baby.
Ooh, I wish I had a bell to ring.
Ding. I got a can.
I'll have to get one.
Just like that. Much higher quality.
Perfect.
And sign up for our Patreon. We're going to have it up and running in a couple days. It's just going to be every tier you get the same benefits, for now at least. You can be part of, I don't remember the benefits actually, but yeah, we'll get them to you.
We'll get him to you somewhere.
The benefits will be
We'll mail you a letter.
Hey.
We'll telegraph you.
I'll send you a telegraph. But if you like our content, though, it helps a lot. It would be amazing if you could help us out on Patreon. We have tiers 1, 5, 10, 15. And you can, at the very least, you can have our eternal gratitude. And
Hey, there you go.
once we reach $500 worth of donations, we'll start a second show. You'll get double the Futon Talks.
Oh, baby.
Maybe even triple someday. Ooh, hello.
Hello.
But
It's like Christmas every week.
it is like Christmas every week, except better, because a large man doesn't invade your home.
This is right. Or kiss your mom.
Or kiss your mom. Those lips are not yours, Santa.
Dude, can't I just say I hate Christmas songs? They're the worst.
What about
They're the worst.
What about
I hate them.
What's his name? Rudolph. He gets bullied by other reindeer. Isn't that fun?
Fine. I mean, those are like kids songs, but when you get into like the adult Christmas songs that you're supposed to enjoy as an adult, they're really off and creepy and ridiculous.
They all have like odd adult themes.
It's all Santa kinks. That's all it is.
You're a clown. Sorry. Oh my gosh, it's so bizarre.
Should I just say that?
I'm not even sure. Yeah, go ahead. This is horrifying.
So we were talking about this earlier. I got a new phone recently, and ever since then I've been getting these spam text messages from numbers I don't know. But usually I'm one of those people who I don't really make contacts. Like, I don't put names. I know your number.
Same. The number's just in my phone.
Exactly. And so I'll be at work or I'll be playing games for the podcast, and I'll get a text message thinking it's from work or something, or from one of my guys on night crew. And I get, "You're a clown in bed. Take these." And it's this horrible spam thing for some ED or some sexual enhancement pill. Oh my gosh. But I constantly get, "You're a clown in bed." And I am never not surprised by it. I'm always thinking, why would Michael send me this? Or why would someone send me this?
The thing is, now Michael, me, and Jarrett will have heard this, and we're all just going to send you texts that say you're a clown in bed.
I hope so. It'll be the funniest thing ever.
Like, it's so mean. Like,
yeah, it's so aggressive and hurtful, but in like an almost not innocent, but I don't even know how to say it. Like, why do you have to call him a clown?
That's so mean.
Like, that's so
like
mean.
What if they marketed like groceries that way? They were just like,
what do you mean?
Like, "You're pathetic in the kitchen." But just like, there's like a link to some apples. Or if like with children's supplies, like, "You're an awful father." Pencils. Like, I just love it. It's so aggressive. Like, "You're a clown."
Yeah. "You're a vegetable when it comes to becoming a parent. Here's some diapers."
Oh my gosh. "Here's a pack and play, you idiot." The advertising for Dunkirk is, "You're completely ignorant of history. Watch Dunkirk." That's beautiful.
"Your head's full of sand."
What a wild advertising. It's
wild.
working though. I mean, now they have their advertisement like in your head. It's like on every platform. I mean, the hundreds of thousands of listeners to this podcast
I hope
know
the
about it.
packaging does have a clown on it.
I am convinced, Chris, that if you were to follow that link, there would be no pills, there'd be no drugs. It would just be a red clown nose.
I hope it's David Lynch's Crazy Clown Time.
Oh gosh, can we have a futon for the first Futon Friday, or the first like Freaky Friday? I don't know what we're gonna call it. This casual show that we do when we reach a certain amount of donations. I want to talk about Twin Peaks and David Lynch.
I think that'd be awesome.
And how David Lynch knows how to ruin something good by being David Lynch.
Well, don't spoil it for the audience.
If anyone's watched Twin Peaks, they already know. So no, I want all of you David Lynch fans to freaking at me. Okay, my Twitter only has 10 followers anyway, and 5 of them are Chris. So
yes,
but yeah, that'll be fun. We'll have to talk about David Lynch.
Yeah, we have all these fun topics we want to talk about, but they're not suitable for Futon Talks, really.
No,
because they're just casual.
And this show isn't casual. No, it's not.
Obviously,
that'd be stupid.
I can call Nolan right now.
You can. Please do. We'll have him on for the next show, guys. We promise. I mean,
yeah, I promise.
No questions asked. He will be here.
He's going to explain the science behind Interstellar for you guys. So
yes, as well as entropic inversion. So be ready for that.
I tried explaining Tenet to my dad the other day, and I couldn't.
Dude, I can't wait to we should have Phil on, but like instead of having him on for movies we should have him on for, like good movies that he like understands and like can really have insight on, we should do it badly and have him on for movies he doesn't understand and that are really stupid or like really weird.
That sounds nice.
Poor Phil. Phil would hate it. Does Phil listen to the podcast?
Yeah.
All right, Phil. Right into the show, Phil. But that's all there is today.
But I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's all we got for Dunkirk. No fast ones.
No.
We're going to show it so much respect. We're not going to do fast ones for it. So there you go. It's out of respect.
We were incredibly respectful. But
we love you guys.
Yeah. We're grateful.
I guess we'll see you soon.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Remember, reach out, man. Write in. We'd love to hear you. But we thank you guys.
Yeah.
We love you, and we'll see you next time on Futon Talks.
Ooh.